Happy Friday, everybody. Yeah. Any big plans this weekend? Oh, it is. What's his name? Give me say happy birthday to him on TV. Okay. Happy birthday, Isaac. Big 4-0. Big 4. Not 4-0. Big 4. Yeah, you don't really say big 4, do you? Well, good, man. Thanks for being here. I'll just open it up to questions, comments. What you'd like to hear more about?
Any update on Project Connect? Have you heard anything? They planning on coming to Oklahoma? Or?
Just periodically, we actually just got just kind of had to reach out from them, just making sure the timeline was still on track for the site. So that was positive. The other thing, it's between us and they're looking at a site in Canada. So it's really been also, there's some politics involved with the NAFTA 2.0 that the Trump administration negotiated, and then all of a sudden it's kind of been, some of that's been whittled away. So some of the thought process is from the Biden administration's Inflation Reducing Act, what that does, how do you actually have to manufacture clean energy in the U.S. to get access to those credits, or could they do it overseas and ship products in? So we're pushing the administration to help us on this to make sure that if you're going to have access to these federal tax policies, then these manufacturing facilities need to be in the U.S.
So I know I was reading a Financial Times story that was basically saying that they are really looking at America because of the incentives they can qualify for from the Inflation Reduction Act. Also, is that something they've kind of relayed to y'all that would give us an edge over Canada?
I absolutely think so, but the complicating factor is the Trump era renegotiation of that free trade between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. Where you're going to tariff some products coming in, they're trying to unwind that, and then they're trying to say that they can still manufacture in Canada and still have access to the Biden administration's tax policy. So that's the thing that we're pushing on is, hey, the whole idea behind President Biden's initiative is to make sure manufacturing stays in the U.S. So we don't want that showing up in Canada or Mexico. We want that to be in Oklahoma. In our case, but definitely the United States. And I think that the Biden administration could take credit for these jobs if we can get some help on making sure that we landed here.
Governor, I have two questions for you. The first one was there was a dust-up yesterday between the speaker and the pro tem over the speaker's education plan. What are your thoughts on that?
I was asked about that yesterday. Some of the stuff is March politics here in this building, but the big picture here is, I ran on giving parents more options. More schools are good. Let's create more options for parents, and so I think the pro tem believes that. He was looking at getting a piece of legislation last year to give parents more options. I think the speaker wants that. So let's just have cooler heads prevail. Let's sit down. Let's figure out what that package looks like. We've been working off season the whole time on this. I've been meeting with the speaker and the pro tem. We did an off session meeting before we even got into session here in February. And a lot of things in that package were things that the pro tem wanted. There's probably things that the Senate wants that aren't in there. And so let's just sit down and let's figure out how to get that across the finish line. But the good news for Oklahomans and for every single person that's concerned about education is we're proposing a pay increase for teachers. We're proposing a 15% increase in public education spending. So maybe it should only be 10%. I don't know. Maybe it should be 15%. And we're also giving parents more options on a tax credit. If for whatever reason that zip code school is not getting their kid ready for a college or a career, then we want to give those parents options as well. So again, it's a great package. I think cooler heads are going to prevail. And I wish that rhetoric wouldn't happen, but I think we can come together and we can get a good package for the future for Oklahoma kids.
My second question is: there's at least two bills moving through the legislature that put restrictions on drag shows. I know you normally don't comment on bills moving through the legislature, but can you comment generally on that issue?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, it's my understanding that, in public places where kids are going to be able to watch those type of shows, we don't want that to happen in Oklahoma. We're not banning drag shows. We're not banning that kind of stuff. We're just simply saying in public places, public libraries, or where minors are going to be able to watch that, we don't want that kind of stuff to happen in Oklahoma. So I think I speak for Oklahomans. That's the big picture. I don't know specifically about that bill, but that would be my intent, is let's protect young people from that over-sexualization at a public event.
Governor, over here, OU Health is in a bit of a tricky financial situation right now. They have a little over $1 billion in debt. I was wondering if you could share any conversations that you're having with the legislature or even OU Health in plans to try to correct that and get them back on track.
Yeah, my managed care plan is really going to help all of our hospitals, our rural hospitals. It's going to help OU Health. We will be able to tap when we implement this, and I tried to get it done a couple years ago, and there was a little bit of a delay in getting it across the finish line, but now the hospitals are all on board because it's going to increase reimbursement rates, and I believe that's going to be a good fix for OU. But several years ago, I think they probably didn't negotiate the best deal, it sounds like. Before I came into office, they reacquired that from an outfit out of state, and a lot of debt, so they're gonna have to work through that. We haven't been specifically asked by OU Health, anything specifically on a bailout, so to speak. So hopefully they can work through that, and then with our new managed care, we're going to be able to help them as well. But it is important that we have a great healthcare system in Oklahoma. That's the thing that I'm focused on. And if our outcomes are not top 10, then I'm going to keep pushing our health systems to improve and to focus more on the citizen and try to manage that care a little bit better. So that's the whole reason I attacked this issue back in 2019.
Governor, my question for you is, what role do you think the state should play in ensuring there's affordable and accessible child care availability for public school and charter school teachers and staff?
Well, I mean, child care is something that's is really important, and as far as what the state's going to play, I'd need to look at that to see what's available today. A lot of that is federal dollars that come in, it's an important thing of what we've got to do and kind of balance as a state. I always say that, hey, it's a zero-sum game at the end of the day. I'm not raising taxes, so we have a certain amount of dollars that we have to spend. But that's the other reason I'm always pushing my secretaries to go to Washington, D.C. to make sure that we get all those federal dollars that we can back into our state.
Hi, good morning. I understand you just at an event with your Secretary of Innovation, Elizabeth Pollard, who has announced her resignation. A couple years ago, you had a groundbreaking in Stillwater for the Pandemic Center that was under her responsibilities. There's not much going on with that front. Do you have any updates on that, and was that a factor in her resignation?
No, that wasn't a factor in her resignation. And the Pandemic Center is something that we presented that plan to the legislature. We haven't funded it at this point. It's still a great idea. I'm also working with OU and OSU, try to bring them to the table to research and try to see if we can get a partnership going. Because the whole idea, and Secretary Pollard had it was her brainchild on this, is to set up a shop here in Oklahoma that we can be the national, research for federal grants and also for research for future pandemics. The reason it was in Stillwater is because you've got animal health, plant health, and human health, and we wanted to set up a repository with all those different specimens right there. BlackRock has just invested at the University of Colorado like $600 million to set up a pandemic research center. So I hope we haven't missed the boat, but this is something that we saw coming at the end of 2020, and we wanted to be ahead of the curve. And if you also think about how did the National Weather Center start in Norman? Exactly the same way. It was the University of Oklahoma said, hey, their meteorology department set that up, and then over time it became the place that the federal government set up their National Weather Center. So that was our idea. I hope that either OU or OSU will pick that up. And I'm agnostic on where it's located. If they want to move it to Oklahoma City or move it to Norman or move it somewhere, I just want one of those universities to pick that up. And maybe OU will do that. Maybe Oklahoma State will do it. But she had a great opportunity. Public service is hard, and I try to recruit these people to come into state government to come serve for a couple years. And if you get these really talented, successful private sector folks to come serve for a couple years, I know it's not going to be forever, and then they're going to go back and move on. But I'm just going to keep bringing new, fresh ideas in, and we're not going to get stagnant in the Stitt administration.
On the same token, the Prairie One Solutions was running the public health lab on behalf of the health department. The health department's now taken that back. Any updates on the future of that lab in Stillwater? Yeah,
so the health lab, a lot of problems with the health lab when I got here in 2019. The legislature had funded a brand new, wanted to build, I think they bonded about $50 million for a new health lab. And so we moved that to Stillwater. I think there was about 50 employees that moved, and we moved. We bought a new building here, got a great deal on it, saved the taxpayers a lot of money on the Department of Health new facility here. But there's 50 employees there. We're going to continue. It doesn't look like we're going to need that bonding. We might only have to bond from either 50 million. We may only have to do, I don't know, like I'm still waiting on the numbers, but 5 or 6 million, which is a great savings for the taxpayers. I'm not having to indebt them. We used some CARES money early on to get that facility set up in Stillwater with all the millions of dollars worth of equipment. So it's a going concern, but I wanted to put that back underneath Secretary Reed instead of that, the management company, so to speak. So now Keith Reed, you got to have one guy. I was having a lot of this stuff. It's this person's fault, and I just wanted one person that would be responsible. So Keith Reed is now clearly it's his responsibility on that health lab to deliver good services for Oklahoma.
Governor, it sounds like from folks in the legislature that the vote on Tuesday on recreational marijuana provides some kind of mandate on regulation of medical marijuana. Do you agree that the voters' decisions will play into some kind of want or desire for additional regulation for medical marijuana?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. I think Oklahomans had a lot of fatigue around marijuana, and they clearly do not want recreational marijuana. It went down. I don't think anybody expected it to be defeated that bad, but as I was traveling the state, I knew Oklahomans didn't want it. They were so tired of a dispensary on every single corner. So clearly we don't want medical marijuana, or we don't want recreational, and I think there's an appetite to tighten up the medical side as well. And Oklahomans voted on that, and Oklahomans have a big heart, as we all do, that if it's going to help someone medically, we want that to happen. But we don't believe that anybody with a hangnail should be able to get a medical card, and we have to get control of that industry. Adria Berry is doing a great job. We have done drug bust after drug bust after drug bust. We have tightened up. Last year, I think there was 12 different bills that I signed. One of them was the seed to sell. One of them was we put a moratorium, no more new licenses. We have to get control of this. Secret shoppers. We want to make sure that we tag every plant. We passed a bill that required grow operations to submit electric and water usage, because that's a way that we can see what's happening. Are they growing more than they're reporting, right? There's enough marijuana, I've been told, grown in Oklahoma to supply the entire United States. That's not what this is supposed to be. This was supposed to be medical use in the state of Oklahoma, and it's gotten way out of control. So we got to get rid of the bad actors. We've got to make sure we get control of that industry, and I think Oklahomans overwhelmingly don't believe in recreational marijuana.
He stole my question, or not stole it, but it was well placed. I guess we're getting ready to go to the Veterans Commission, and we asked you a couple weeks ago if you had any thoughts on how that situation is unfolding. The director's employment consideration seems to be on the agenda. Have you had any further conversations with your commissioners about that? And are you adding new commissioners because there's still that sort of those vacant seats because of questions about the appointing organizations?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're going to follow and do exactly what the law tells us to do. And so we won twice in court that we did it the correct way. But just out of the abundance of just because we don't need to mess around with this. And the legislature, when I met with them, they said, hey, Governor, it'd be better if you just kept those two people that are in question on the sideline. So we asked them to abstain from any vote. But that's really the only thing that I've been made aware of. I know that there's a meeting today. Hopefully the guy shows up, because apparently he hadn't been showing up to some of the meetings. And again, this is the problem with state government that Oklahomans don't understand. The governor has no authority to hire or fire a guy that's spending hundreds of millions of dollars. And he lost $21 million in building some veteran center in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. Now he's asking the legislature to backfill that money. Oklahomans don't understand that, but that's the way the system's set up, and they report to a board or commission, and we hope the board or commission will continue to ask those questions, be fiscally responsible, and make sure that we are holding people accountable to the taxpayer dollars, and really, big picture, take care of veterans better. That's what we're here. That's what we're all here to do. But again, I have no authority over that commission. We'll see how that goes, or if the guy shows up. Thank y'all.